Aloha, I'm Seth Ladd, producer of Aloha on Rails, and I'm lucky to be sitting here today with Ezra Zygmuntowicz, engineer here and founder of Engine Yard. So thanks a lot for taking the time to speak with us today.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
You are speaking at Aloha on Rails, presenting what I think is a really important topic. Tell us a little bit about what you're talking about.
I'm talking about, well, my talk's titled, Where Do I Put This Data? And so I'm talking about all the different storage solutions that are popping up in this whole NoSQL trend. Although I'm not a big fan of that one exactly.
Why aren't you a big fan of it?
Well, it's a little bit dogmatic, right? Like, I'm not, I would use these alternate key value stores or JSON stores or whatever for what they're good at, but they don't necessarily replace SQL databases, and there's still quite a bit of use for SQL databases.
So you don't hate SQL because it's SQL?
No, I don't hate SQL because it's still useful, and there's still tons of stuff like if you're dealing with customers' money or any kind of things like that, you still want that in a relational database. You don't want to be storing that in a key value store somewhere. But there's tons of stuff that is applicable to these new kind of data stores, and they can be much more scalable and get you much more bang for your buck per server for certain tasks. So We're going to examine what some of those tasks are, which one of the kind of different key value stores accomplish what kind of tasks and how they work. And there's a bunch of ones that are memory only, or memory and asynchronous disk, or disk with some memory caching, and there's all these different types of stores, so we'll cover like MongoDB and Tokyo and Redis, and yeah, we'll just kind of go over what these are good at, what's realistic to put in them, and what's realistic to leave in a SQL database, and what kind of scaling stuff you can expect from that, and take an honest look at it. There's no hype about you should always be using these things or these things, but there's a gradient of what is useful for what, and we'll kind of go over that.
So this is a pretty recent trend, I think. What do you think allowed this kind of explosion of key value pairs? Is it timing? Is it the application we're trying to do? Like, why are we seeing all this right now?
Well, I think that the size of the data sets people are working with are growing exponentially. There's tons of data that people have to store, and people are hitting the scaling bottlenecks of traditional SQL servers, and especially with the whole brouhaha over cloud computing. There's no way to take MySQL and just arbitrarily scale it to a bunch of nodes, right? Some of these newer data stores are much more amenable to having nodes join a cluster and leave a cluster and all those kind of things, and to be able to grow it like a cloud. So that's kind of why I think these new things are popping up, because people are really starting to hit the limitations of MySQL or Postgres or whatever, and are looking for some way around that. Right? So these things they promise a lot, but in reality, there's pros and cons and deficiencies and weaknesses in all of them. So, and you have to be really careful, because this is actually your data. It's the most important part. Like, it's more important than your application code or anything like that. This is the actual data, your customer's data, right? So you don't want to go willy-nilly throwing this into the new hotness just because somebody blogged about it, right? Because the thing that holds your data is very important, because your data is the most important part of your application usually. That's where the business value is. So yeah, there's all these new key value stores. They're not vetted as well as these older technologies are, and so you really have to be careful making an informed decision. So
I think what's really nice is you're bringing the key value stores, the distributed hash table talk, and then we have Alan Gates from Yahoo who's going to bring MapReduce and HFS and HBase and Pig and Hadoop, exactly, which is a whole nother way to think about your data.
Yeah.
So it'd be really good for people to come in and look at, just open their eyes and think of, well, I have different types of data with different requirements. Some is relational, some is batch process, some is key value, and so they'll learn all that. Aloha on Rails, so we're excited.
Cool. Yeah, the lineup at the Aloha on Rails looks amazing.
Cool. Yeah, I'm really stoked.
It's going to be a great conference. Yeah.
What's the moral of the story? I think that you want people, the one key point that you want people to take away from your talk.
One thing is to throw a little bit of cold water on the people that are super hyped up about this stuff.
Nice.
And make sure that you're not just doing it because it's a cool thing to do, and to give people a tool set for evaluating these things and figuring out if it's right for them and if they really need it, and what the kind of good use cases for these things are, and where you would be better off just sticking with MySQL or something.
Awesome. I think it's the right talk at the right time, you know, and especially because you're using some of these technologies now for particular reasons, because you looked at the problem set, so we'll get your experience from there.
Yep.
And a real pragmatic way to look at this stuff, so we're excited. That's awesome.
Cool. Yeah.
All right, cool. So what are you looking forward to returning to seeing when you get to Hawaii?
I don't know. It's just always so mellow when I go over there. That's mostly what I look forward to. So it'll be cool to have a conference over there, get to hang out with everybody and stuff. But I also just look forward to just chilling, pretty much.
Excellent. So we'll do really well, man.
Yeah.
5 o'clock. We're checking it. We're ending at 5. You know, it's gonna be
Cool.
nice, and yeah, it's right there in the park and the beach, and so yeah, we hope to make a real chill evening and events for everyone.
Very
so
cool. Yeah, I'm
excellent.
looking forward to it.
Cool. Well, thanks a lot for taking the time to talk to us today. I really appreciate it. I know everyone's looking forward to hearing more about these technologies and your experience with them.
Sure.
And looking forward to seeing you in Waikiki.
Cool. Sounds good. Thanks.
Thanks.